Has the housing market reached its boiling point? Is there a crash looming in the future?
Showing the 7th decline in a row on a month.
Predicting a major housing crash.
You're fearing that the housing market is crashing.
It is crashing.
Or is the heat and hype surrounding the housing market exaggerated? After all, America is expecting a housing market crash. Or is it? Well, according to some experts, the housing market crash may not happen after all. And there are strong, compelling reasons behind this. And once you hear them, you'll understand exactly what's going on. And while some call it a crash, others call it a correction, listen, you need to understand the facts for yourself so you can make a great assessment and make up your own mind. To better understand this, let's do a little recap on what's been happening. During the 2 years following March 2020, that's exactly when the pandemic hit and everybody was freaking out. Well, the housing market had an abnormal rate of growth during that 2-year period. Housing prices in the US went up by almost 43% as measured by the Case-Shiller Index. And when you think about it, that's a crazy amount of growth to happen in just 2 years. Then in June 2022, home prices peaked and began to drop. Many investors went into flat-out panic. Prices of most consumers' goods started to soar. And that's when you started hearing all the chatter about inflation and everybody panicking. Oh my God, this is non-stop, it's gonna kill us. And what did that do? Well, that intensified fears and everybody started talking about a possible recession. And then home prices started to show weakness. So that's when you started hearing, oh my God, the market is going to crash. And hey, while the market crash is not completely out of the question, let's stick to the facts. Let's start with something we can all agree to. 43% appreciation of home prices in 2 years is an abnormal rate of growth. And with so many people having so much on the line, all this economic turmoil going on turned people into panic. So was all the panic warranted? The facts point in a whole nother direction. Number one, inventory. The National Association of Realtors reported that at the end of 2022, the housing market only had 2.9 months worth of inventory. The total number was 719,000 homes available for sale in the whole United States. That's less than 1% of the total homes in the US housing market. And understanding the law of supply and demand, I think we can all agree that's very low inventory and actually makes for a strong seller's market. And home builders have not been building homes fast enough. Home sellers are staying in their homes because they locked in very low interest rates. And going back to those builders, well, even if they wanted to build faster, the challenge is they need to buy up the land, get their permits, get regulatory approval. Yeah, it takes time. So they can't keep up with all the demand and all the interest because they can't do this step fast enough. And when we look at the market crash back in 2007, there's one thing that's missing this year, and that is overbuilding. Back then there were too many homes, not enough buyers, interest rates were soaring. There were a lot of elements affecting that market crash that we're not seeing today. We're actually seeing the exact opposite. So unless we can bridge that gap of supply and demand, either with builders or homeowners putting their homes on the market, a housing crash is not likely to happen. And even if somehow builders started building like crazy and homeowners put properties on the market and this started increasing the supply levels, well, this is not likely to happen immediately or in a wave. The influx of new buyers. During the pandemic, many people realized that they needed bigger places. After all, they spent a lot of time working from home, and many still are, so they needed a bigger home. And those buyers are upgrading, and many are actually buying homes in areas that are now cheaper and more affordable than where they used to live because they have that flexibility. So even as prices rose, they were taking advantage of new locations. Also, when you look at demographics of home buyers, there's two groups that have been rising. One is the Latinos. Hispanics are among the number one group of rising home buyers that keeps increasing every single year. The second group is millennials. Actually, this is the biggest one. Millennials are now buying homes and making big purchases. They're settling down, growing their family, and making their homeownership dreams come true. So as long as these buyers keep flooding the market and buying all these homes, the demand is going to keep super high. And remember, we have a low supply, so the market is not likely to crash while you have such an influx of buyers. Now, let's talk about lending regulations. Back in 2007, lenders were giving loans to just about anyone. You didn't even have to verify your income to buy a home back then. And what happened was that anybody that wanted a mortgage got it. You get a home, you get a home, you get a home, all mortgage without being able to afford it. And when the bubble burst, those homeowners couldn't sell their homes, the banks were left holding the bag and lost trillions of dollars, a ton of foreclosures came into the market, and mayhem happened. Thankfully today, lenders are a lot more careful. Now there are strict lending standards, and only people who can afford a mortgage and can document it actually get it. So here's the thing, if home prices had actually been driven up by loose lending standards, there'd be something to be worried about. And right now, with lending standards being stricter than ever and prices being driven up by genuine buyer demand, listen, I don't anticipate a crash, and you should neither. No imminent foreclosure crisis. When the housing market crashed back in 2007, the delinquency rates were through the roof. There were millions upon millions of foreclosures. Today's housing market looks a lot different. Homeowners are making timely payments, loans are giving on sound credit history, and the foreclosure rate is near an all-time low right now. So if you're waiting for foreclosures to drive the market crash, well, you might just be waiting a long time. I don't see that driving a market crash anytime soon. And here, I get it. There's a lot of noise about recession, market crash, banks collapsing, all this chatter, and that just creates uncertainty and mistrust, but also gets your attention, and that's why you hear it so much. But the fact is, you can always find opportunities, you can always achieve your goals if you focus and make it an intention. So don't lose your focus. When you see others just completely scattered and not knowing what to do, you take massive action and reap the benefits. Now, if you want to sell a ton of homes in any market, you gotta control the listing inventory. So watch this video next, and I'll give you my secret to winning more listings.